The first time I was diagnosed, I put it out of my mind and I didn't deal with it.
It's horrible.
Overwhelming and shocking.
I'm still in shock over it.
Quite stunned.
And I was equally devastated and shocked. You just never think that it's going to happen to you.
I know that you had a biopsy done 2 weeks ago, so the results got back and we wanted me to discuss those with you. So I'm afraid that the biopsy did turn out to be positive. You do have breast cancer.
What if I die? I'm too young to die of cancer.
Always have someone with you at the appointments.
Yes.
Have an advocate that's going to remember. You won't remember a thing.
And ask them not to react emotionally so that they can get down what you're not going to remember.
Yeah.
It was just so overwhelming. You just didn't know how to feel.
When I first got here for my first treatment, I was pretty much still in shutdown mode. And just, if I just close my eyes and go to sleep, this is going to be over. And I don't have to think about it. I guess was just avoidance.
My biggest fear was being nauseous. Like I thought, I can do anything but be sick all the time. And what was great, as soon as you walk in the door, they tell you what's going on and they medicate you to keep you from being sick. So that went a long way, which helped me sleep a lot. And then my coworkers on my first chemo, when I walked in the room, my coworkers in the HR department at CAMC had decorated the room that I came in. So when I walk in, there was all these signs from everybody, and that was kind of neat throughout the day to look at that.
Everything just happened so fast. That's the scary part of it, is the fastness. If I had more knowledge of what was going to happen and how it was going to happen, I don't think I would have been as afraid.
I think I went into my first chemo just completely oblivious. I mean, you know, you go on and you read stuff online and it's overwhelming. So you just don't really know what to expect. But I think the biggest question I had was how long before the symptoms kick in after your first treatment. I can do this. I'm scared, but I can do this. I have to do this for my kids.
I understand that today is your first visit, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. So how are you feeling?
A little nervous.
Absolutely.
I don't really know what to expect.
Well, and the staff just keeps you so calm, and they're right there, and over time they get to be your dear friends to this day. They take people regularly through one of the scariest things in your life.
People here, the nurses, they took care of everything.
And the nurses and doctors, the nurses in the chemo unit are so great about telling you what to expect. For me, losing my hair, I kind of went in layers. I got it cut short and then shorter and shorter, and I have a great hairdresser friend, thankfully. But when it started coming out, I had to take control and shave it. So my son shaved my head with my neighbor there and another friend, and he gave me a 1-hour mohawk. It was an emotional for him because we made it fun. I told them everything. I shared everything with them. I mean, everything that was appropriate for them at that age. We were just a very open family, and I think it helped them. Oh, yeah. You know, I asked my daughter just last week, preparing to come here to do this, I said, were you ever afraid that, you know, Mom was gonna die? And she stopped and she thought, and she said, yeah, but you were always okay. Like, you always made it okay. You never let me see you think you were gonna die.
I'm a stronger person for it, and little things don't bother me like they used to.
Well, we got your scan results back, okay? You remember you had CAT scans?
Yes.
And I have some good news. It's all clear. The scans all came out negative. There is no evidence of cancer. I'll need to check you every 6 months.
The day of my last treatment was unbelievable. I was so excited to finally, I was on my way to get it done, And my dad was driving me, I'll never forget, and my whole family and my friends orchestrated it, and they held signs up going down Bridge Road. My friend went and picked my kids up at school, and they were there for that. And I just remember my dad and I bawling, driving down the hill and honking, and all my friends holding signs. The nurses and I sang songs and recorded it. My husband recorded it. And as exhausted as I was, I rallied for that day. And then for a while, you're on cloud nine.
And then the day that you finish treatment, everybody celebrates. My coworkers decorated my room again. Everybody celebrates, and they're all excited. They're like, "Yay, it's over!" But at that, and you think that at first, then you realize the next week, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anything to do. I'm on my own. Everybody's gone on back to their lives, and your body's adjusting. Your chemo brain does not go away. Chemo brain was a very major factor in my life, and I still have some memory issues at times because of it, but it was the loneliest time was after all of the treatment.
I think we're really fragile for a very long time after the chemo, and people think that, okay, well, you're in remission now, you're okay, you know, and they think you're going to come back 100% and you're going to be doing everything that you were doing before. Well, first of all, you can't remember everything you were doing before. I think when I finished treatment, I was at a loss. Again, you know, I'm wondering, you know, I had had such a traumatic 8 months of being very, very ill and in and out of the hospital, and I pretty much had post-traumatic syndrome. I mean, post-traumatic stress syndrome, I think that's what it's called. And having to deal with that, and I was irritable and still very, very tired.
I knew that I could call them. I knew that if I got, you know, afraid or some pain or some bump or some anything, that I could call them. But it was such a shock at how frightened I was to be set free, in their words.
The hard part begins, and then again, like, no, people don't understand that, and I didn't understand it for the longest time. I kept denying that I was feeling depressed or guilty or overwhelmed. My coping skills were lacking, and I couldn't. And you know, I've been shown that post-traumatic stress is very real. Things will never be the same again. Why can't I move on?
The breast cancer support group to me was like a lifeline. It was a long process back to feeling even slightly like me. And I really didn't realize how much I needed that kind of help.
How it affected my faith, my sexuality, how my body looked, how my anxiety was. So I would keep all that in when I was just really screaming inside. I didn't want to be around anybody because I didn't want to show weakness. And I didn't realize all that, and I learned all that going to group class.
And I thank you all for having that for us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The support group is definitely the what it is, the support that's going to help you get from one stage to the next stage.
And I think discussing how you feel with your spouse, your children, with the group has been just phenomenal.
But we can come to our support group and say, do you know what my friend said to me? Do you know what my so-and-so said to me? You know, and they said, aren't you ever going to get over this? Or when are you going to be finished with your treatment? When are you going to be finished with this cancer thing so you can move on?
Yeah.
But that's what the support group is so good for, because you can share those kind of things, and everyone in that room understands that.
Yeah.
They know what that feels like.
Everyone says, I want to help, and they really mean it, but as the patient, sometimes it's hard to say, yes, this is what I need. Please do this. So kind of just keep your ear open And if they're complaining about laundry, or even if they're not, just show up, fold their laundry, cook them dinner. Just do it without asking. And at the minimum, if you don't know what to say, just send a card.
Usually the first thing is the grocery thing, because if they live with somebody, that person has to eat, even if the person with cancer can't eat right now. And I usually will suggest things that might be palatable to that person, and to ask if they want to call and ask. But if they don't, these are, Jell-O and things like that are usually good things, yogurts and things, and just to not expect anything from the cancer patient. They may not want to come out and see you when you come by. Don't force that. They may be sleeping or whatever. If they do, they'll come out and see you, but it's okay to just drop off things, and that's so important.
That was the advice that was given to me is by, I believe, my oncologist. And she said, let people tell them what you need. Let them help you. And
don't feel like a burden.
Yeah.
If they ask, they want to help.
They ask, they want to help. Just showing up. And I had friends come and just get in bed with me. And I think it was as good for them as it was for me. And we still talk about it because we never make time in our lives just to stop and be.
When we say just do it, we had friends when I was diagnosed after surgery, when I was starting chemo, another family that is probably our best friends as a family, she showed up on a Thursday with dinner, and she said, I'm going to bring you dinner every Thursday night for the next year. And she did.
My brother-in-laws would call and say, let my wife come over and spend the day with Vaughn, and let's go golfing. Because he needed a break too, and because he was scared to death, and waiting on me hand and foot, working full-time, taking me camping on the weekends, just doing everything that I ask with the never complaining. And now the resources here at the Cancer Center is just unbelievable compared to they were 4 years ago. And there's no reason why anyone would have to go through the dark time of not knowing what to do, who to call. There's always someone to call. Get you a support group. And don't be afraid to ask. I made that mistake.
This Cancer Center is doing a great job of letting people know that they're here.
Support provided by the CAMC Foundation. To support CAMC Cancer Center services, contact the CAMC Foundation at 304-388-9860 or visit camcfoundation.org.